I'm so excited to talk to you today because you have had a crazy week. You just made it past the blind auditions on The Voice, and I know that was a little while ago, but could you tap into that day and tell me kind of what was going through your head during this audition?
Yeah, oh my gosh. It was absolutely the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced. It was so scary. You walk into that room and you can hear a pin drop. It is silent and there's so many people and it's dark and there's just spotlights on each of those chairs and you can't hear anything or see even a glimpse of anyone. So it's definitely a really intimidating experience, but and the second that I saw someone turn around, I just immediately blacked out. I have no recollection. I said earlier that I'm so glad that it was recorded and aired on national television because you could have easily convinced me that it didn't actually happen and I hallucinated the entire thing. So it was amazing and I'm so grateful that I got that experience. It was awesome.
I know you said you kind of blacked out there, but we have to talk about the block. Every season the coach gets one block and Niall decided to use his on you. So what was that like? And was that a bit of a confidence boost for you?
You know, as a fan of the show, I had always watched people's auditions where a block was used and I would always feel so bad for the artist. I'd be like, oh my gosh, they probably really wanted to work with that person. Like now they don't have the opportunity to choose someone. And I honestly had that mindset up until the very moment where I didn't realize that Niall had used his block until I saw Kelly's face and she stood up and was like, no. Even in that moment, the fact that, they only get one to use for the entirety of the season. And it's Niall's first season. So the fact that he heard my voice and thought that there was something unique and special enough to where he wanted it so badly that he would use his one block for me, like all of that thought of like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for that person. It immediately went out the door and I was just so happy that he felt that way. And it was a huge factor in deciding to go with his team at the end of the day.
I was going to ask, was that a bit of a driving factor when deciding whether to choose Niall or Chance?
I talked about it in my interview that showed on the show, but I love Kelly Clarkson. She is one of the best vocalists of all time. And I don't have any technical training at all. Everything that I've done has just been self-taught. It's the product of like decades pretty much of working on my voice to get to where it is right now. So while I'm proud of myself for how far I've come, what I was really looking forward to about this show specifically is that you work with these people who have that technical training, who know exactly what they're talking about. And for that reason, specifically, I thought that Kelly would have been a great coach for me. But I also knew that being successful on the show, you want to be with a coach who's really passionate about you. And so even though she was technically my number one choice going into it, I said that whoever gave the most passionate pitch, whoever seemed the most excited about working with me specifically as an artist was the one that I was going to go with. And Niall, obviously using his block, that was a part of that, but everything else he just said all of the right things and really got me. So yeah, I'm so excited that I ended up on his team.
Now I've got to ask, were you a One Direction fan growing up? Because the second I found out that Niall was going to be on the show, I was like, all of the girls on his team are going to be fangirling. I
hesitate to call myself a Directioner because back in high school and everything, the people who did call themselves Directioners were like, it was like a religion, it was like a cult, like they were all about it. And I honestly just found that kind of intimidating. But yeah, I was a big fan. Starting when I was 16, my mom, for my 16th birthday, she got me tickets to see them on tour. And I had never listened to any of the music outside of what was on the radio. She just thought, she's a 16-year-old girl. She's got to love One Direction. So I was definitely starstruck when he turned his chair for me, for sure.
Now I saw on your TikTok, you made a funny little video in your Team Niall hoodie doing his iconic finger guns. And it looks like you guys do have a very fun, lighthearted relationship. So what has it been like working with him?
Oh my gosh, he's incredible. Like of all of the coaches on this season's panel, he is hands down the most involved. He sent us all emails, like personally after our auditions, like way back months ago. He set up individual Zoom calls with each of us just to try to get to understand us a little bit more in terms of what we want for ourselves, not only on the show, but as artists in general. So he is such a kind person. He is so humble and so sweet. He's everything that he seems to be. He's awesome. I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to work with him.
Now, I did want to go back and talk about the audition a little bit because yours is seriously going viral. It is almost at 700,000 views on YouTube alone. So what has the feedback been like? And what has it been like seeing that yours is just blowing up in comparison to some of the others?
It's been absolutely unreal. I mean, I'm definitely my harshest critic. Like, we got a glimpse at our auditions several months ago, and not like the full package, just kind of audition. And I was just tearing myself apart. I was like, oh, I didn't do any of the things I was supposed to do. I did all these note changes. I sounded so shaky, blah, blah, blah. I was really scared for it to be on TV and to see what people would think of it. So I absolutely did not expect the amount of love that so many people have shown it so far. It's amazing and really humbling, and I'm so, so grateful for it.
Now, one of my favorite things about The Voice and competition shows in general is seeing the reactions from your friends and family while you're auditioning. And I know that your parents were super, super emotional. So what was it like kind of watching that back?
Yeah, well, what's funny is my mom told us, she's like, oh yeah, I was so calm. I was so calm the entire time during your audition. And then I watched it back, I'm like, you're a liar. You were freaking out. They don't talk about it on the show, but my parents currently live in Hong Kong. And so they flew all the way from Hong Kong to come be there for my blind audition. So it just meant the absolute world to me. They've been huge supporters of me ever since I first started singing when I was a toddler. For them to be able to be there and witness everything and to support my decision no matter what, it was awesome. And that was my favorite part about watching it back on TV. I saw my interview of my song and I was cringing at myself the whole time. But every time my parents were showed on TV, I was like, yeah.
As we mentioned, the blind auditions were a little while ago. So I'm curious, what are you up to right now?
Well, right now I'm just kind of taking it all in. It's been really overwhelming, and I'm trying to just absorb it all and appreciate everything that I have. But I mentioned on the show that I, at the time, was working at a public relations agency as an account executive, working with music tech clients. And I love that. That's what I studied in college. But at this point, with this opportunity, I really want to give music a go. So working on some original music. I'm a songwriter, but I don't have anything out because I just have never really had the time or the resources to fully invest in a project that I felt really passionate about. So right now, that's the biggest thing on the to-do list, is to just keep on writing and see if I can actually get something out there.
Since you are creating new music, I'm curious, who are some of your musical inspirations artist-wise?
I think growing up, my biggest inspiration was Sarah Bareilles, was and is Sarah Bareilles. Like, what she can do vocally is incredible, but just her ability as a songwriter is so inspiring to me. I'm also a huge musical theater person, and she did the music for one of my favorites, Waitress. It's like a dream of mine to be in Waitress. But, so she is a huge inspiration to me. But a current favorite is Lizzie McAlpine. I think her lyricism is incredible. Billie Eilish and Phineas, both like what they do songwriting wise, but also production wise, is super inspirational to me as well. So yeah, those are a couple of my favorites right now.
Since you do love those lyrically driven artists, I'm sure that you incorporate that into your own music. So where do you kind of find inspiration for a new song?
Yeah, it can honestly come from anywhere. For me, I think one of my favorite things to do is find like certain words. So I have a couple of TikTok and Instagram challenges where I'll do like a word generator, or I wrote a song using Wordle one time. I really like play on words, internal rhyming, that kind of thing. And obviously I pull inspiration from my own individual life as well, but I like to pull from other people's stories too, because that's my favorite thing about writing music is once you write a song, it becomes the listeners. Like I could write about my own life, but the second somebody else hears it and relates it to their own personal journeys and their own stories, it's theirs now. So that's one of my favorite parts about songwriting, for sure.
Lastly, we are Celeb Secrets. So could you share maybe a little secret about The Voice that people wouldn't expect from just watching?
They've started to talk about this more, but what you don't know is that it is freezing everywhere that we film because of all the tech equipment. So one thing that I made sure to have when I came back for battles was a hoodie blanket. So it's like a gigantic hoodie that I wear and it goes down to my feet. But something that I didn't know is that the coaches' chairs are heated. I'm like, that's so cool. Like, I think it's so amazing that they have heated chairs. But yeah, I think the fact that it's freezing literally everywhere is something that people probably don't care to know, but it's a fun fact.